Hi, this is Ed Crowe. Today we're going to talk about the question, should Medicare agents hire help? This is a topic that's personal to me. When I look back at my career, I certainly had about a 3-year period where my book of business didn't grow and my agency really didn't grow, and it's because I refused to hire help. I'm certainly not alone in that. That happens with a lot of people in the Medicare business, but when I look back, I wish I would have done that much sooner. When I did hire help, it became really apparent to me that it should have been done earlier, and that's what allowed me to grow the book much larger and to grow the agency. So we'll talk about that question today. So we'll go over who should hire, when should an agent hire someone, how that's important to book and revenue growth, and then the question a lot of people have is, if I do hire somebody, whether it be in my office or remotely, what will they do on a day-to-day basis? This presentation is going to be about 12 to 15 minutes long. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We get a ton of views. We don't get as many people subscribing to the channel, so if you could do that, it'd be greatly appreciated. youtube.com/Crowe Medicare. And if you ever need a contract of any type, we are an FMO, so we do contract agents and certainly agents and agencies, and would love to talk to you if you're looking into a Medicare contract or any other kind of contract for that matter, whether it be life, dental, vision. We have some unique products as well that are specific to us. So happy to talk to you about that. If that's something you'd like to do, give us a call. So who should consider hiring help? Well, this isn't for everybody. If you're a new agent and you don't have a book of business yet, you might not need it at this point. When you're first getting started, you got to build up some revenue first. I always believed in that. I know some agents come in and they start with help right away, and that's fine. You can do that. But if you're fine with doing it on your own in the beginning, you really can do it on your own. Build up some revenue first, and then when you build up some revenue, then it's really something you can consider at that point. There will become a point where you need to do it, or you should do it. Medicare is a recurring revenue business. So I just wanted to mention this. I have a lot of people that just focus on new business, but remember, it's recurring revenue, and it's about how much revenue are you going to make, whether it's through new business or renewals every year. So it's go by the net results. New clients and retention rate. How much money is that book generating on an annual basis? So agents who have a book of business absolutely should consider hiring help. Now, how many clients is that? What's the magic number? It's different for everyone. For some people, they might get around 300 clients and they're like, this is overwhelming, I need help. Or some people, it might be a much bigger number. For me, it was about 500 clients. When I got to 500 clients, that's when a few things happened. First of all, on the way to 500, my book was growing very rapidly. I could handle it. I was renewing people, retaining the book, doing those activities to retain it, and I was adding new people. But when I got to about 500, that's when it started to slow down substantially. And when you're immersed in something, you can't see the flaws in it really. So I think didn't understand at that point. I was so busy. I didn't understand. I was starting to miss opportunities with referrals. I had times where people were calling me and I just wasn't getting back to them, or I was forgetting to get back to them. I was no longer putting time into new ways to generate prospects. And that's really important in this business. I know a lot of people initially rely completely on paid leads. That's fine. It's a way to start your book and build it up. But for long term, it's always best to have more organic methods of generating leads, whether it be off the existing book or through relationships you've made. But just relying for your whole career on paid leads is a tough long-term solution. I don't see many people do it successfully long-term. First few years, no problem, but over time, that will become a problem, and you really need your book to be generating business for you at that point. It'll help you a lot. And then the other thing is, once the book gets big enough, a lot of people stop doing the work needed to retain existing clients. And again, they might be writing a lot of new ones, but if they're letting them go out the other side during AEP, that book isn't going to grow. I mean, you're going to bring in a bunch of new, but if you're losing half of them during AEP, it's just hurting your overall revenue. So as I mentioned, we can't always see how efficient we've become. It's a common problem with any self-employed person. And what you really got to think about is think about how much time you spend as an independent agent doing non-revenue generating activities when you have an existing book. And the bigger the book gets, the more of those activities you're going to wind up doing. So if you think of all those things you do, you can pretty easily make a list of what someone that you hired could do, because they could do all of those things for you. So they could call your call or contact prospects and existing clients to get contact information, list of doctors and medications. They could add all that information to Connecture and Sunfire. They can make all your calls prior to AEP. And if you're not calling your existing clients prior to AEP, you should be. Yeah, you can send them a letter, you can email them, you can text them, but a phone call should be being made as well. That's going to be your phone is still best. That's going to be your best way to contact existing people. And sometimes people ask me, well, what if I don't contact them? Well, you're going to lose way more of them than you should. You can have someone you hire book calls and appointments. They can maintain your schedule. That was a big eye opener for me, is how sloppy I was being with my schedule. Sometimes I'd be on the road, sometimes I'd be on the phone. Once I had somebody maintaining my schedule and making my schedule for me, I became much more efficient. They can follow up on referrals and send referral gifts. You should certainly be sending referral gifts when you get a referral from a client, whether it closes or not. If it's a legit referral, they should get a card and a gift. They can verify new clients' enrollments and follow up with them, meaning you sign somebody up new, the person in your office or your remote employee can make that call saying, hey, you're all set. You're going to get your cards in the mail. And then they can follow up and confirm with them when, that they've gotten that card, and make sure that it's a smooth process for them getting enrolled, whether they be new to Medicare or transitioning to a different plan with you. So they can verify the client's enrollment, follow up with them, follow up on the past prospects that didn't close. That's a big one. Think about anybody you might have talked to during the year. Maybe they had a plan that was the best for them at the time. Well, those things are going to change during AEP. They can follow up with those people, see if they want to book a meeting for you during AEP and use the same pitch and say, hey, look, your plan's going to change. If you have a SUP, the rates are going to go up. Advantage plan, as we know, the benefits are all over the board and might change substantially. Let's have you book some time with Ed during AEP so we can talk to you once we know what all the changes are. And they can really book your schedule for the following AEP. And then they can answer all the common questions and return calls. I don't know about you, but as an agent, I got a lot of questions that were basic questions. Consumer, your clients don't know them, but it was very redundant and it was a lot of phone time. And there's certainly, you could have somebody that you hire answer all those calls. And if you think about how much time that would save you by not needing to have those conversations. They can check on commissions. This is a big one. Most agents do not check on their commissions, especially on new cases. And we've found that every carrier has at least a 10% error rate on commissions. So if a bunch of years go by and nobody's checking on commissions for you, you can bet that it's going to cost you a lot of money over the years. So having somebody at the office to check to make sure that case was placed, it's in your book of business, and the commission was paid on it is a big advantage. They can do social media. Maybe you don't have any social media presence. They can make you one. They can maintain your current presence. They can increase what you have. Maintain licensing, certifications, and CEs for you. Help you track all that. Let you know that, hey, you need your CEs. You haven't done a couple certifications that need to be done. They can maintain your license for you. Track your return on investment on any lead and marketing program. Many people do not do that. They will buy leads. They say, oh, these leads are closing. They don't track how much they're spending on leads versus how many people they're closing. They don't track the return on investment. And if you don't track it, how do you know how effective it is? You can simply have someone to maintain client contact if you're not able to. Maybe you want to go on vacation. Maybe you're sick. Maybe something comes up. Instead of just having no one returning those calls, to have a voice, to have somebody there for your clients will help retain them a great deal and also keep the business running. And also, when I hired someone, it was the first time I could go on vacation and actually feel okay about it. Prior to that, I was never still totally comfortable, but prior to that, I'd go on vacation and the last couple of days were ruined because I knew what I was coming back to. When I finally listened to other people and hired some help, it really felt a lot better when I went on vacation because I knew I had somebody keeping the ship floating while I was gone. Just a quick note on focusing on existing clients. You really got to keep the math in mind. Recurring revenue per 100 clients, use Pennsylvania for the example, that's $353 on the renewal. So every 100 clients, about $35,000. That's with Medicare Advantage. Supplements are more variable. It depends on if you're in a guaranteed issue state. you know, so some supplements pay 26% commission, some pay 20. It just depends. Then you got the drug plan you got to throw in there too. But really, Medicare is a recurring revenue business, and you really got to look at how much money are you making on that book overall. You get a lot of agents that are placing a ton of new business but not doing any work on retaining the existing clients. They have to recreate the wheel every year, so they have to write tons of clients every year to maintain that book, and that's just temporary success. That is not going to, you're going to get burnout, and that's not going to work well long term. Success is measured by the overall growth of the book on a year-to-year basis, the net growth of that book, new business minus anybody that falls off. So here's the big problem, and here's what kept me from hiring someone, and it keeps, I think, many of us from hiring someone, is we say, I can't afford to bring someone on full or part-time. It's really the biggest hang up that we have. And the way I was looking at it is, I'm making a certain amount of money, I'm just gonna make that much less, however much I gotta pay that person. And it's just flawed thinking. It was flawed thinking on my part, it's flawed thinking for people who wanna hire and don't because of that reason. The reality is, yes, initially it cost me some money, but I was able to triple my revenue within 2 years of hiring someone, triple it. So my overall income, even with what I was paying them, increased substantially. It allowed me to expand my agency, to add other revenue streams. There was only so much work I could do or you can do in a day. At some point, you get flooded and you're at a point of no return where you just can't do more. And that's why you need to scale and hire someone to help you get over the hump and get to that next level of income. So if you hire somebody, yes, initially you will pay them, but I promise you, if you're doing the right things, you're going to double, triple your overall net income once you hire that person. It will definitely help you grow that book. It's the idea of not wanting to pay somebody is a common misconception with all types of businesses, all kinds of entrepreneurs and self-employed people. But the reality is you have to scale to grow. Like I said, simply working more hours, at some point it won't work anymore. There are a lot of books, videos, podcasts on this topic if you want to check them out. I listed 3 books there for you. I really like Scale or Fail. All 3 of them are good, and there's tons of them. But they'll back up what I'm saying is that you got to scale your business, and it's one of the biggest problems that we have, one of the biggest hangups we have as an agent, and that's what stunts our growth of moving on to the next level of income. My final thoughts on this are, hiring somebody depends on what you want. Some agents will build a nice book, maybe they get 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800 clients. They're busy. At some point that's going to slow down and they're just not going to be able to do more and it won't grow, but they're okay with that. They're okay with that amount of revenue. They like doing things by themselves, and there's certainly nothing wrong with it. This is really for people who say, I want to substantially grow my book and substantially increase my revenue. And it's just not realistic to think you can keep doing that yourself. It's going to suffer. The growth is going to stop at some point. You'll hit the wall. And when I said, trust me, yeah, trust me, I tried that. I got to a certain amount of revenue and I kept thinking I want to make more. I kept working harder and it just didn't happen. Once I hired somebody, it was pretty magical and pretty eye-opening, and also made me realize, have some regrets that I hadn't done it much earlier. I had people who were much smarter than me, who've been in the business a long time, harping at me for a couple of years, you got to hire, that's the only way you're going to get over this hurdle. Turns out they were right, go figure. But it took me a couple of years to listen to them, unfortunately. That's it. Just as I said, wanted to keep it fairly short. I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe to our channel, youtube.com/@Crowe Medicare. Hope everybody has a great day. And last thing I'll mention is we're always open to suggestions on videos on any topic that you'd like to see. We rarely get suggestions, but please feel free to send them in. Be happy to do a webinar on any topic that you think would be helpful to you. Have a great day.